After doing my declutter video, I realized something really important. And you may have even heard me say it while I was sorting through my clothes. I'm not trying to become a minimalist. I am not trying to get rid of everything I own or live in a perfectly neutral house or even become one of those people who has like three shirts and one fork. That's just not my goal. But what I am trying to do is build a much more intentional life. I want a life with less chaos, less friction, less stuff to manage, less stuff to recover from. And I think that's a really important difference between going full minimalist and living more intentionally. Because when I say I want a more intentional life, I'm not saying I want a prettier life or a more aesthetic life or a life where everything looks more put together. I mean that I want a life that feels better to live in. So I think the decluttering video that I just posted, my ruthless edit of my clothing, is what truly led me here to finding this differentiation between minimalism and intentional living. Because, yes, on the surface, it was about clothing. It was about getting rid of things. It was about simplifying my wardrobe. It was about having clothes that fit me. But underneath that, it was truly about all of this extra stuff in my closet creating extra noise. There were too many choices, too much to manage, too much visual clutter, just too many things that I had to sort, fold, put away, ignore, feel guilty about having. And I realized that is what I am craving in my soft season. Not less for the sake of less, not empty for the sake of empty, but less noise and visual clutter so that I can make room for what actually matters. So if you're new here and you found me from my declutter videos or even my no buy videos where I'm talking about my contentment journey and not bringing more stuff into my house, I'm glad you're here. I'm Kay, wife, mom to two, a photographer, and a habit coach. I'm hoping that maybe this video today will shed some light on how those declutters and no buy content fit into my channel as a whole. It's what I'm doing in my soft season. It's what else you can expect to see from me if you stick around. And it's what exactly is this goal of living more intentionally on a journey to contentment. So for me, living more intentionally means asking better questions of my life. It's not asking, what can I fit into my life? But does this actually support my life if I fit it in? If not, can I say yes to this thing? But do I actually want all the things that come with saying yes to this? Not, is this a good thing? But is this a good thing for right now? Because I actually think that's where a lot of us get tripped up. There are good things. There are good clothes. There are good gadgets for the kitchen. I know that. I use a lot of them. We're not actually surrounding ourselves with bad things, but we're filled with these good opportunities, these good plans, these good stuff, this good intention to live a good life. But then one day we look around and we wonder, why am I feeling so overwhelmed? And I do want to say this part specifically because it matters to me. It's very important that this is not about becoming less driven. This is not me lowering my standards or not chasing my goals anymore. If anything, this season is actually helping because it's making me realize how much more I care about building a true life that supports the things that matter most. Because I don't want to keep creating systems and routines and schedules and a home that constantly drains me. I want my whole life to support me, whether that's the things in my home or the rhythms in my schedule. And I think that's a big difference between being driven and being buried. I don't want to be buried in my own life. So for me, this is showing up in a few really practical ways right now. One is obviously decluttering. I am purging my things, the visual clutter, the things that are causing indecision, that are making my life feel a little more buried with overwhelm. And I'm not purging them because I don't want to own anything. I'm not purging them because I only want white and black t-shirts, but it's because I want less things to take care of. Another way is with summer coming and my schedule. I've been thinking a lot about how I want this summer to feel. I know for myself and my son too, who is an extreme introvert just like me, that I do not want a summer that is constantly packed. I don't want every day to be a play date, an outing, a thing to go to, even when these are good things like swimming at my mom's pool or going to my mother in law's beach or going to the zoo with friends. I want more room for calm at home for me and my kids, more room for sprinkler days, books in the air conditioning when it's really hot, puzzles and slow mornings and not rushing out the door. Just being outside like we were yesterday. Yes, I am sunburned. We were outside for 7.5 hours and it was glorious. It was calm, it was peaceful, it was slow, but it was sunshiny and warm and just amazing to let them play. Because sometimes intentional living is not adding more magic to your life, not making it better because you're enhancing every opportunity. Sometimes it's about protecting your space, your schedule, your energy, so you can see what kind of magic is already there. The kids didn't need a play date yesterday. They didn't need new toys and extra bubbles and all the things. They literally played with the water and the water table and the bath fizzies we already had. I think this is why currently on this channel, I am being very drawn to this small shift series that I've been doing because I'm not trying to overhaul my life overnight. That would be more overwhelming. I'm trying to actually notice what is creating unnecessary friction, where that's coming up, and then experimenting to make it easier. Like one thing I want to try and will be coming up soon is living with less dishware. It sounds random, but honestly, I am so tired of feeling like at the end of the day, I am spending an hour cleaning up the kitchen, loading the dishwasher, and keeping track of managing and cleaning and putting away all of the dishes that we have. And I'm just like, "Well, do we actually need this many dishes in circulation? Would it be better if this is something we simplified so there was less to wash and manage? And we just always use the same dishes that we washed when we finished with them? Could having less available actually mean cleanup and resetting will be faster and easier? I don't know yet, but that's the kind of thing I mean. It's not a huge dramatic transformation, but it is looking at my actual life and asking what would actually make this easier to maintain. Same thing with right now, I'm trying to get outside every day. And that started as me wanting to get out the door first thing in the morning, feel the elements. And that was helpful for a little while, but I noticed it kept raining. We kept having cloudy mornings. I wasn't getting sunshine. So right now, my habit is shifting in something more flexible. I want to get sunshine every day, whether that's outside or it's with my happy lamp in the corner, because I know I feel better when I have that in my day. And that matters to me. All of these small shifts are leading to new habits that don't just work under ideal conditions, but habits that actually create an intentional life where every choice I'm making is because it makes my life better. And I think that's what's running through all of this, through my series of small shifts, through my decluttering, through my no buy. I am trying to create a life that bends and doesn't break when real life happens, when life gets messy. I want a life that has enough space and margin in it. So when something happens, a hard week or an emergency, I'm not completely knocked down. I don't want a life that looks full and successful on paper, but feels exhausting to actually live. I don't want a home full of the most beautiful and trendy and aesthetic things that I hate managing. I don't want a life where I'm constantly recovering from my own routines or my own schedule or my own overcommitment or my own clutter. I think intentional living, at least for me, has a lot less to do with perfection than it does with alignment. I'm asking, does this fit the season I'm currently in? Does this support the kind of home I want? Does this support the kind of mother I want to be? Does this support my actual capacity? because something that works in theory doesn't always work in real life. I also believe that a lot of us are just so used to pushing through that we don't even realize the friction we're living through. We adapt to it. We believe that being overwhelmed is normal. We assume that managing too many things is just part of life. We assume that constantly feeling behind is normal. And maybe some of it is normal in the sense that it's very common, but that doesn't mean that we have to accept it. That doesn't mean that it's necessary. Sometimes there are things we can edit, like my wardrobe. There are things we can simplify, like our schedules and our routines. There are things that we can stop carrying, like the need to keep up with the Joneses, keep up with the social media aesthetic. And no, this won't solve every problem, but I do think it can make life feel a little more breathable, a little more livable, and more supportive. So, no, I am not becoming a minimalist. That is not my end goal, but I am becoming more aware of what's adding noise to my life. And so that's why on this channel, you'll see decluttering and my no buy mixed in with these how to plan in a low energy week or how to stop planning your life like you're living in ideal conditions. Because as a habit coach, especially, I find it so important to let others in and learn about how to create a life that you don't have to recover from. There are so many productivity bros out there who are pushing hustle culture, and I want to teach us how to unlearn hustle culture. I am passionate about helping others as a coach, and it spills over into my videos, but you're getting to see real time what intentional living looks like for me. Looks like less clutter. It looks like less friction. It looks like less autopilot for my weeks and my days. It looks like less unnecessary fullness by filling my life with good things. Hopefully, it turns into more margin and more calm, more intention, and just more space for the things that matter. So that's the season I'm in right now. I'm not becoming a different person. I'm not throwing everything out that I learned about productivity and habits and goal setting. I am just trying to pay closer attention to what makes life feel better to live. And that's what I'll be exploring here. So if you're craving a life with a little less noise and a lot more breathing room, then you're probably in the right place. Hit subscribe and follow along as I continue trying small shifts to make my life more intentional. I talk about routines and rhythms that you can build into your life that help you create a life that bends, not breaks. And along the way, maybe we'll all find that hustle culture is not normal. It's not the necessary way to live, and that we can both have space in our life and still chase our goals. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.